my good friend and co-host Jeff Rizdon, and we got a lot going on. How you doing, brother?
It is good to be back live with you, Chris. I'm glad that our schedules intersected for once so we can do a live show. This makes me very happy.
It's crazy. I think I've got 2 more trips this year that are going to take out my life, and then I'm working the post-game show around them. Like, I'm arriving. Last time that we did the one, I had to fly out. I got into my hotel room at 3 a.m. And then I had to work at 8 the next day, but it was worth it. It's what it takes to win. That's what we'll do. That's because we're not giving up on this.
And winning we are.
That's right, my friend. We got a good show today. We're going to talk about, we'll do our warm-ups like we do as everyone gathers around the warm campfire. We'll do a Titans review. We're going to talk about, we're going to take you on a Fipp trip and do a little bit of trade talk. And what else will we do here? We got the JMO show. We'll talk a little bit about that. Can't not. And the Green Bay Packers game preview. We got all that and a whole lot more. Riz, are you ready to go, my friend?
I've been waiting so long to say this. Let's do it!
Let's kick this off and break it down.
All right. We got a good FTP rolling through the chat. Good job, ladies and gentlemen. What is rocking and rolling with you guys? Don Burr, the intro music, he misses it. I apologize, my friend. We want to tighten up the intro. We got a lot more people to gather earlier, but it's nice to do this. It's nice to do it this way. We can just get right into this. So here we go. Let's talk about what we got going on the rock and roll show today. Let's do warm-ups. Safeties first, and Cletus Blakeman. A couple of things we want to talk about with our warm-ups. Cletus. We'll talk about him here. First, let's do the safeties thing, and this is, I think, a great story.
Yes.
Two of my faves, man. You know how much I love Brian Branch. I love him. I'm going to love him just a little bit more this week because he's going to piss off Tom Grossi, which he's a nice enough guy. I like the guy, right? He's hilarious, does his thing. But he's still a Packer fan, and I like angry Packer fans when they have to deal with the Lions. But Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph could be the first pair of safeties, and they're on track to be the first pair of safeties to register 10 interceptions each in the NFL. Sexy time, my brother.
Wow.
Sexy time.
Wow. Kirby has 5 now, right? I want to say. Yes, he does have 5. I know that.
Yep.
Branch has 4? 3? 4? I don't know. The Tennessee game was weird because it was just weird. We'll talk about that. But
yeah.
Kirby, I love the fact that Kirby played like shit the first 2 drives and then dominated. I love that. He wasn't the only Lion that did that in that game, by the way, but
it was.
He's so damn opportunistic. I love it. And you know, there's the old thing, you know, you create your own luck and everything, but they really are doing a very good job of creating their own luck and creating takeaways by pressuring and by mixing coverages and by being just badass players. I'm so in love with this defense. It's been great.
So long we've been watching Lions play, and you'd look at them and it'd be a sloppy game, penalties, whatever would come out, and you would win or you would just lose, and we had the whole thing. And then the 4 o'clock or the 8 o'clock game would come on, and you'd see teams playing. It's like, why does it never look like this when the Lions are playing somebody else?
Yeah.
It's like you see the same thing in hockey. When you're watching like playoff hockey, you're watching the best of the best. You're watching really high quality hockey. But you put a non-playoff caliber team on the field, or you put even a playoff team against the Lions, the quality seems to tumble down. We're watching the Lions right now. They're one of those teams that you look and say, this is really good team. This is good football. This is what good football looks like. We haven't had this. I mean, even in the 90s with Barry, those teams had so many gaps, and they just had like a couple of superstars. It seemed like a formula forever for this team. But it just was never that kind of a fluid. It was always like, just kind of come out on top barely when we can. This is really like watching a frigging juggernaut, man. This is a high quality team. This is real football, brother. And I'm happy to say it's in Detroit.
They have so many different ways to beat you. The offense is incredible. The defense is making plays. Yes, they're shorthanded. They're still making plays. And then special teams. Woohoo! Yeah. They're so good across the board. And that's what makes them dangerous in every game. It's why they can win anywhere, anytime, against anyone.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. They can do it because they have so many different paths to victory in a game. I would say they have more paths to victory than any other team in the league does. Like Kansas City, if Mahomes has an off day, they're not winning. If their defensive pass rush isn't there, their secondary isn't really good enough to kind of compensate for that. Yeah. Baltimore, Lamar isn't great. Lamar isn't an MVP. They don't win. You saw that Sunday. They got beat by Cleveland. Come on.
Yeah.
They don't tackle well. Like the Lions do so many things so well. It's refreshing, man. It really is.
I have to shout out, Flounder's got it right here. He said the Lions team in the mid-2010s looked like the Titans did this past weekend. Talent in places, but couldn't pull together and then get blown out by good teams. And that's really what we saw. Fair. And it's one of the things about, and thank you, Flounder, so much for the super chat. Yes. Love you, brother. This is one of the things, like, the offense, I don't want to say they played bad. Statistically, they played bad. Like,
it was weird.
Right. Defense, like, you just didn't see a whole lot of, like, we're going to push this game over the top out of anybody but the friggin' special teams, man. It was the special teams that really bounced.
Incredible.
Anyway, we're supposed to be talking about safeties. Yeah. We're getting into our Titans preview.
The safeties,
a review. But
after the first quarter, they were really good.
Yeah.
And that's typical. Brian Branch, by the way, is PFF's top-rated safety for the season. He deserves that. He has risen, though not as high as I would like, in the Defensive Player of the Year odds candidacy. Hutch had that. It was his.
Yeah.
For sure.
100%, no question.
Branch is indeed stepping up, and other guys are stepping up too. Not necessarily in the way that a lot of the fans would like, but we saw some things to like coming out of the Tennessee game. We really did, and we'll see more coming out of Green Bay.
I'm going into Tennessee again. Okay, let's get back. Okay, so a lot of love for Kirby, a lot of love for Brian Branch. Can't wait for Brian Branch to get another one this weekend against Malik. Maybe it'll be Joe Jordan.
We'll see. We'll do our preview. It could be Malik. It could be Jordan. We'll see.
Malik is definitely the quarterback the Slack deserves this week for the game, man.
I'll just say this, Chris. If he has a monster game, it's going to be bad news for you, bro.
I'll take it. It's one game. He's still a backup. That's all that you need to know, right?
Yeah.
And
I will give him credit. He is playing better than I thought he would.
100%. 100% he is.
And I give the Packers coaching staff some credit for that. I think they've done a really good job of getting him prepared to be the best Malik Willis he can be. And, Chris, you and I liked him personally. We really did. Like, we liked the guy. We rooted for the guy.
Yeah.
We just didn't like his quarterback play. And so,
yeah. Ryan in the chat, been a bit since I've been here for a live show. Missed you boys. Hate that I'm nervous about Green Bay. Big opportunity to start getting cushion in the north for the pushing. And if not, it might be tough to get back on top. All that. So I could take a couple of things there. Ryan, I
got that one.
I'm going to leave the material there on the board, but I will tell you, yes, it has been a bit, and apologies, between Riz's schedule and my travel schedule, we haven't been able to put a weekly show together, and it's really been I've fought to get the post game shows together so we could have some stuff out there. But we have something else in the works for you guys to add another something year round of content, just to kind of bring some really, really good stuff, and we'll talk more about that. But I think you guys are going to really, really like it, and it's a comeback story.
Yeah,
we'll put it that way. We'll leave it at that. All right. The next thing I want to talk about in our little warm-ups piece is, we've been here for years. Kalif Blakeman. Kalif Blakeman. How did we get Kalif Blakeman as a referee again in a Lions-Packers game at Lambeau? I want to cold call Blandino right now and see if he still has a key to the officiating room, because I want to get in there and kick some ass.
We recorded an episode with Dean about this in 2020 with our good friend Tony Ortiz was on the air with us then, and we interviewed Dean, and he talked about then about how the pandemic, travel, and everything was kind of squirrely. So to go back in time, 2019 is when Blakeman called the it wasn't Blakeman, it was his umpire who's no longer on his crew. Gotta be fair.
Yep.
His last name is Rice. I can't remember his first name. It's not Jerry. But called the 2 penalties on illegal hands to the face on Trey Flowers. Neither one of them was accurate. And Dean acknowledged that when we interviewed him on here.
Yep.
And it cost them the game. And that was a Lions team that at the time was 2-1-1 and was playing to get into very shouting distance of first place there with the Packers, who were unbeaten at the time. It was close. They lost 23-22 directly because of those missed calls and penalties. And the Lions wound up winning one more game that year. They finished 3-13-1. So the next year is when we had Dean on 2020, when we went, and that game was in Green Bay as well. And he's like, well, all the scheduling and everything. And he explained it, and he explained it properly. I believe Dean. I trust Dean.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Like, okay. But it was a good episode. So now this is the first Packers-Lions game since then that he's officiated. Yeah. And he's not avoided controversy very well. And one of the things that I found in doing research at Football Zebras, which is a great resource, by the way, and the guys who run it, they take so much shit on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. Like, it's 2 dudes who used to be officials, and they're like the lead guy is a really good guy. I've had many conversations with him. He's been very helpful to me in finding things out, like rules and things like that. So take it easy on them. They're the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. But his crew picks up more flags thrown by other members of their crew than any other by a lot. That is the easiest way to say to fans, we're not on the level because this guy threw a flag over here, and I'm saying, nope, he didn't do it.
Yeah. Well,
you cannot do that.
There's 2.
That's Blakeman.
Absolutely egregious things you can do. The first is throw a flag and then pick it up. It's like, wait, you saw something to throw that. Like, you threw that and you saw something. That's what's going on. The only one that's worse than that is throwing a flag when nothing happened, because the illegal face to the hands, like that one, like that was one call, right? Remember that one?
It was not Blakeman's crew, but yes, that did happen.
Yeah. But when they throw flags for something that never even happened, that's them running on intuition and not on what they saw, and that is bullshit reffing. That is either they're on the take or they're completely incompetent. And I'm not saying they're on the take. I'm just saying there's only really 2 opportunities here. They cannot throw on intuition. You can't guess that something happened, because if you do, you are not refereeing the game. And that's where the face mask in Minnesota comes up. We couldn't see it. We didn't throw it. I get it. It sucks for Minnesota. I don't care about Minnesota really or their fans at all, but it does suck for them. I can empathize as a Lions fan who's seen bullshit face mask calls on an Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary, for example. I can empathize with where they're at, but the reality is they didn't see it. You can't throw it. They failed at their job, but they didn't make shit up, and that's what you want. You want them to only call what's real, that they really saw. They're never. No one's ever going to be perfect, but and I've said this before: the inconsistency of the refs is what undermines their credibility more than anything else. And it's that shit will get me to rant. I want to say really quick to Nick. He and Ryan were saying some nice things about us being away, and thank you guys. Same for me, Ryan. Glad to be back from deployment and able to catch games in this podcast. Nick, sweet. Welcome back, man. Thank you for going out there and doing what you do for our sake. It's very nice of you.
Absolutely.
All right, that's the safeties first. Clete Blakeman. I don't want to wish him harm, but I would love to hear the story of him stepping on a Lego every morning that he gets out of bed for the rest of his life, because he does have a
crew this year. And I looked it up. He has 2 NFL rookies on his staff this year, and they were both in the Pac-12 last year. And Chris, is the Pac-12 known for good officiating? Well, it doesn't even exist anymore. So,
I was gonna say, well, we just call it the big.
Yeah.
They're trying to get
somehow. California's in the ACC now, and Stanford are in the Atlantic Coast Conference. But that's for a different podcast, which is something else that we might tease you about soon.
I got to get this one here really quick. Combat sack. I'll go try this just straight face. Hey, Chris, I heard a rumor that Jamo is lining up in special teams as the gunner in the next game. Can you confirm? We'll cover that story shortly. We'll cover that story in a little bit. Okay. All right. So good to see you first.
All right, that's funny. I'll give you that. That's funny.
Okay.
That's well done.
All right, let's get into Tennessee Titans game review. The thing I want to talk about, I think one of the weirdest stats of the game, besides the passing yards and all the other stuff, is that the score was 52-14, and the Titans had over 11 minutes more time of possession. They had the ball for almost an entire quarter more than the Lions. They couldn't score anything. Look, if you're a football team and you played in that game on the side of the Tennessee Titans, that's going to break you. That's one of those games that at 6-7 games into the season, that will break your confidence in the entirety of what's going on around you. That is just rips the belief out of your soul, man.
Getting first and goal from the 1 after a legitimate pass interference call in the end zone. That was a legit call. Didn't like it, but it was legit. And the Lions stopped that because you threw the ball 4 straight times when, and at this point in time in the game, Jack Campbell was not playing well. Your defensive line was not great. They were okay. They weren't going to stop Tony Pollard 4 times in a row. I would bet good money on that. And I say that, as a Lions fan. Mason Rudolph throwing 4 times in a row at the goal line. Come on. Rookie head coach, rookie mistake. We'll take it.
Yeah, all day long. All day.
I love the fact, and this is something that Nick Saban and Bill Belichick have both talked about in their careers. Good teams don't just beat inferior opponents. They beat the shit out of them. Yeah. They lay waste to them. Now, the score was 52-14 was not indicative of how well Tennessee played. It should have been 2 touchdowns maybe as a win, maybe. Yeah. But the Lions kept pouring it on, and the Titans were helpless to stop them.
They're great.
This is what great teams do. They don't have, all hope is gone. Insert your favorite Slipknot song here. They are not your kind. You're going to lay waste to them.
Oh, man, you talk about music. I pulled out. So as you know, I worked in radio in Detroit in my younger days. It was at the end of the turntable era and the CD era had kicked off. I'm not even kidding. I've got 1,000 to 1,200 vinyl albums that I've had for ages, right? I got my brother sent me up my turntable. Thanks, Mike. You're awesome, bro. Set me up my turntable from my parents' house because I'd let my dad use it. It's like top of the line, peak of the technology at the peak of the time. There'll never be turntables like this again, right? It's a fantastic turntable. Finally, I got it set up, and I was putting on. I was like, I got to go old school for this. I threw on some Hendrix, Axis Bold as Love. Oh man. Oh, the warmth of I was like, so I've got our good friends behind us here, Brian and the crew over there at I Prevail. I got some Metallica albums. I got a new Eminem album as well. I got on vinyl, and I can't wait this weekend. I'm just gonna roll through the records and enjoy the world. Sorry, you got me caught on music, Jack. All right, let's talk about the Titans. Yeah, it's what I need. A little bit of a roll through some old vinyl. I
need that too. I'll be at the Michigan-Oregon game with my wife this weekend. We're taking a little time together.
We'll show them what an Oregon really looks like, Riz. Okay, so let's talk. Player stats. Hendon Hooker still hasn't got that.
He played.
I want to ask you about this though. This is something. Look, I'm finding the teeniest of nits to pick because continuous improvement. That's what I do. There's always places to get better, right?
Yeah.
I would have liked to seen them run one drive with all the firsts in with Hendon at the helm, just to get him that experience. And the reason I say that is because if Goff gets hurt for some reason, if his ankle swells up, which I'm not, please no, it's okay. He's going to be okay. They said he's going to be okay. But if something happens, I really don't want his first reps to be where we're down by 6 with a minute and a half left in the game. You know what I mean? And it's the first time he's throwing live fire shots to Amon-Ra. I'd love to get your take on that. I just wish you would have done one drive like that in a real situation.
I thought, and there were a lot of people that commented about the only time I'm active on Twitter anymore is during games. And there were a lot of people who came at me like, is it time for Hooker? And I'm like, no, not really. And I want to second guess that. I think y'all were right. I think I was wrong on that. I think he probably should have come into the game a couple of drives before that. It was clear the Titans were not coming back. This was a great chance to get more guys, more experience. I love that they got Isaiah Williams, and I wish he could have had another couple drives. Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all, Chris. I think getting him to play with the ones and also play against the ones, you're going to get your top line defenders out there. Not that Tennessee's defense is not bad.
There was an edge there I wouldn't mind picking up.
Their special team, oh my God, their special teams are so freaking bad. Oh my God. Leaf could have had 3 touchdowns on punt returns, legitimately. Like, my God, how bad are they? And congrats to Leaf for winning the special teams player of the week. He earned it, obviously. But yeah, they're like that would be a good thing to do. And I'll reiterate what I had put out during the game. The antiquated notion of an inactive player list hurt the Lions in this case, because this could have been Giovanni Manu's debut.
Do your thing on this, Riz, because I've seen you launch it on Twitter, and it's so freaking smart, and I haven't heard anybody else really talking about this.
And it could have been a chance for Colby Sorslow to get a lot of reps, but they were inactive. Now, somebody threw it back at me, well, the Lions didn't play. Well, okay, they had the opportunity to, and that's the important part. Other teams will take advantage of it, and I'm not just going to be a selfish Lions fan on this. I want to see young players play. This is your chance to develop them, because they don't get – look, they've taken a preseason game away. You can't do as much in practice as you used to be able to do. You've got to do this. The rule was made back at a time where if you went on injured reserve, you were out for the season. You could not come back. You could not promote players from the practice squad. You could not elevate them up to 3 times. None of that was possible. It was done at a time when a lot of owners were cash poor, and one of the reasons that they did it was they didn't want to pay guys who didn't play actually in the game. So like, oh, well, there's 53 guys on our team, but if only 45 play, we don't have to pay those 8 guys.
Yeah.
Oh, smart. It's not like that anymore. It's not 1979 anymore. Thank God, by the way. So it's a woefully antiquated rule. And Chris, you actually saw it. Pat Kerwin and I, the former Jets GM and longtime consigliere for Bill Parcells, had a great conversation about this at a restaurant in Mobile several years ago, and he was totally on board. And he railed. Now he'd been at the restaurant for a while, and they might have hurricanes there, and they're pretty damn good. But he railed against this. Like, he's like, there's like 3 owners that want this, and nobody, like, it's so old. And this is pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
Like, this rule has been so outdated for so freaking long. It annoys me that they have it. I hate having to write it every week. And weirdly, it gets a lot of reads, so I do it. Like, it's only up for 90 minutes, and y'all click on it, so we keep doing it. But this is something that the NFL needs to do better, and I hope and pray that the NFLPA gets into this, and as they expand the league to 18 games, and that's coming very soon, let's let all the guys on the active roster play. Why are you putting these guys more at risk for injury?
100%.
Let's say Taylor Decker had rolled his ankle. Well, he's out with a chest injury right now, but it sounds like he's going to be fine. I'm not worried about that. I think he's going to play against Green Bay, and I think he'll be fine.
I just on that, since we're on the topic, sorry, I hate to interrupt, but there's a comment, a little concern about Decker's play. I wonder if he's fighting something. I'll tell you this. I know he'll be back. He'll be himself again this week. Yeah. I just want to say he will be himself this week.
By the way, after the first quarter of that game, he was incredible. He just got beat on the first 3 drives were terrible for him. Beyond that, he wound up playing a very strong overall game. But everybody remembers the beginning. And
the first play and the second play couldn't have been further removed from one another. His second play was great.
They were bad.
His second play was great. His first one was just absolutely Key just
it was rough.
He made Key look like someone we should trade for, and I'm not sure we should. I'm not sure we shouldn't, because the price would probably be pretty decent for a guy who's definitely he's a starter, and he also brings depth to your team.
After watching Isaiah Thomas, he's better than Isaiah Thomas. Yeah, so I wouldn't be opposed to that. He would not be near the top of my list, but he's on the list, certainly. He's more on the list than Harold Landry, who's soft. Dude does not like contact, and he showed that Sunday. And everybody in the stadium that I talked to was like, yeah, we don't want him anymore. Nope. Nope. Okay. That was kind of the rule on him coming out of college too. But what if Decker had gotten hurt and then you're putting Dan Skipper in? Well, why not? Why not give Giovanni Manu a chance? Why not give Colby Sorsel a chance? Let's give the coaching staff an opportunity to play these guys and see what they can do. It's a blowout game. It's garbage time. We don't want anybody of importance getting hurt. Well, you're not letting the players that aren't important play because of a rule that was made in the 1970s when Art Modell couldn't afford to pay his bar tab. Like, stop with this crap.
Yep.
Like, this is the time to change things. It's a very different NFL now. Again, you can elevate practice squad players. You couldn't used to do that. You can bring guys back from IR. You didn't used to be able to do that. That's when this rule is from. It's a completely pointless rule now. I know people are like, well, it makes injury parity. Like, how's that working for San Francisco? How's that working for the Lions right now? How'd that work for the Browns? It's a completely stupid. It's such a pointless rule, and there's no purpose to it. And I know from talking to Pat Kerwin, I know that most of the NFL agrees with that. So it's time for this to end.
Yeah.
End of diatribe.
Yep. Thank you for the diatribe. It was a good one. I want to really slide us into the next one here because it's an extension of the first one from the Titans game review to Dave Fipp's trip.
Let's fluff up Dave Fipp because he earned it.
Fipp is a fucking trip. Just right now, we talk about it whenever he comes up, but he was a fantastic interview and even better dude outside of the interview at Senior Bowl when we were talking to him. I just love Dave Fipp. He is a character and he's a genuinely wonderful person in all of my interactions. I don't know him well enough to say what kind of a person he truly is, but the experience I had with him, he was, and I feel he's truly authentic. One of the things I want to allude to though about him, and I think this says a lot about who he is, and I think it says a lot. Just listen to his words, and this is one of those times where I tell you, listen to the words that the people in this team say. Okay, if you go to the post-game celebration, Dave Fipp, number one, if you haven't seen him before, it surprises the shit out of you. The volume and the emotion and the intensity that comes out of that fella, right? Because he's not a big guy. Yes. He's not a big guy.
He's not.
But he is bigger than life. I'll put it that way. The last thing he said, and I'm going to misquote it, so we'll call it a paraphrase. But he said, "From the bottom of my heart, as God is my witness, I am the luckiest person in the world to be able to work for that man." And he pointed to Dan Campbell. I'm telling you, across the board, that is a set of words that has been articulated that many haven't yet, but they mean and they believe. Yes. They truly love working for Dan Campbell and doing what they do. And I'm telling you, this means a lot. We'll get to the whole silly season and who's moving and going where and whatever, but there is a lot of weight in working for someone you love, someone you truly believe in, someone you believe is your brother, and the fact that you can create something and continue creating greatness. You saw it in the Patriots for a long time in those dynasty years. A couple of the guys would leave and come back or whatever, but it was really about that core staying together throughout. And it's because they loved winning. It wasn't I don't think it was as close a bond as what you have with the Lions, because I think it was a different kind of an atmosphere, a very pressured atmosphere. This is something that's very, very special and very, very different. And Dave Fipp, he was able to articulate it in a way that I think speaks for a number of people. But if you look how much he loves what he does, and then you see the output of what he does because of how much he cares about and loves his place of employment and his job, it translates, and it translates to the players themselves because it's infectious and they believe it too. That's a lot of what this is and what this team is built on. And I think Dave Fipp really embodies that soul of what this team is.
Absolutely agree. He's the right guy for the right place. And he's a good, Dan trusts him and respects him. They don't always agree on everything. Same with Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell, but there's the willingness to sublimate your ego to come to a consensus and do for the greater good. Yeah. There's a lot of lessons that can be taken from that can apply outside of football, but inside of football, they do such a great job at that. And you don't see, what happened to Chicago at the end of the Washington game will never happen to this team. Like, that just won't.
Yep.
And I feel so happy about that. And Fipp had it going on. The Leaf return for a touchdown is the starting defense out there with Leaf replacing somebody because they were worried about a fake. Like, they thought of everything. And now the Titans coverage is really, really, really bad. But they exploited it. And that was something that they knew going into the game, and they did it. And, by the way, their punter is the NFL's all-time leader in gross punting yards per punt. Jack Fox is 4th. Ryan Stonehouse is number 1.
Damn.
As I said it to Sam Monson from wherever he's at. He used to be at BFF. I forget where he's at now. Sorry, Sam. He's a good dude. But we're in a golden age of punting. 6 of the 10 best punters in NFL history are active right now.
Yep.
We got one of them. It's pretty cool.
Man, what was the punter? Never mind. It doesn't matter. All right. So
Ryan Stonehouse.
Yeah. He's
great.
I was thinking back in the day, but I'm not even going to go there. So Dave Fipp, I mean, I want to go so far as to say that the special teams won this game, but they were absolutely a crucial part of they executed at a level that this team could win the game, because had they executed at average level, things could have been a lot different. There was an opportunity for that defense to get gassed out there this game. They could have very well suddenly, and the Titans are a tough team. They could have overcome an old Lions team that doesn't have that kind. But the defense playing special teams and getting that return. I mean, just the players stepping up, playing their role, and Dave Fipp being able to get the right guys to do the right thing and play what isn't their daily position, right, at a level and of a level of intensity and a level of craft that's kind of beyond what people who are playing kind of their second or third position would put into it. It's really, really great to see. Dave Fipp is a fantastic coach and a fantastic person. I love it.
Give it up to Leaf for again getting the NFC Special Teams Player of the Week.
Yes.
Khalil Dorsey for his 70-yard return.
That was beautiful.
Which was both of them top 21 miles per hour, which makes them 2 of the 5 fastest players in the NFL this season. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And by the way, good for Dorsey to find a role on the team.
Yeah.
He's a really, really good cat who has busted his ass to make it in the NFL. And Dan recognizes that, and Fipp recognizes that, and they found a good spot for him. I'm happy about it.
Comatose, thank you for being a member. Appreciate you being in the winner's circle. Comatose, all this punting talk, and here I sit in an Iowa hotel. It just feels right.
Y'all had a great one last year.
Yeah.
He's doing okay this year too.
All right, let's take the next topic under our wing. Detroit Lions trade talk. This is the tip of everyone's tongue. We need a pass rusher.
This is what everybody's been waiting
Oh my gosh!
for.
Oh my gosh!
What everybody wants to yell at me about.
Here's what I can tell you. Here's what I can tell you. I don't have a name. I'm just telling you right now. But and so here, look. I'm telling you what I know. This is not breaking news or anything special. I'm confirming a lot of speculation that's out there. Like I've seen people say they're 100% signing someone. They'd like to. There's nobody that they're 100% signing right now. There's somebody that they are after.
They are trying.
They're after somebody, and they're working on the deal. But Brad is not going to overpay. See, so here we are. There's people that are so black and white about this. We have to give away all our firsts for the next 15 years to get Max Crosby, right? And then the other side, there's the don't give away anything. We'll forego this year, and we've got plenty of chances, which is the other side, right? The reality is there's a right price for the right player. It may not be a Max Crosby, but it won't be a Trey Flowers, right? It's somebody somewhere in there that's in between. That's going to be an in between price that will do. Now it could be Zadarius Smith, but there's the situation is fluid. The situation is fluid, and there's work to do, and the teams have to come together. One of the things Brad's been able to do though is let people watch the market, and when the market doesn't come to them, snap them up for a pretty excellent deal. I wouldn't be surprised if that's how this plays out. Let them test the market and see if they want, and then knowing the market, do they want to come to the Detroit Lions for X? I think that, because coming to the Detroit Lions for X could be your Super Bowl. He could be your ring. And so don't freak.
Zadarius is definitely one of the names.
Yep. There is one person in process that they're really working on, and they would really like. So more to come on that. Again, I'm not breaking any news. I'm not telling you 100% they've got someone they're going to sign. That's speculation. I'm not. If we speculate, we tell you it's speculation. If we know something, we tell you we know something. We know that. And again, it's not some kind of wild breaking news. It's just confirming some of the speculation that's out there and giving you an understanding where the team's at. But it is classic Brad Holmes. It is classic Brad Holmes, and that's the guy that we love, the guy that we trust. I think if he went out and spent 57 firsts and got Max Crosby, I think he would lose the trust of a lot of the, he doesn't care about the trust of fans, but I think he would lose trust of more than just fans if he did something like that. If he didn't
lose the trust of his coaching staff.
If he didn't do anything, you got to think about it. And with nothing going on, that's probably a problem that he's given up on the team, and he can lose people that way as well. You got to also remember, this is something that people don't think about. The Super Bowl for the scouts and the folks out there is the draft, right? But this is a time for them to shine. This is a time for Brad Holmes' crew to really come through and shine in both negotiations and talent scouting and finding the right kind of fit and that kind of thing. And they live for this. It's like, woo, we are relevant during the season, boys. Let's bring it home. So it's a whole... This is a specialty. You don't think about them until draft period, but these guys are out there working. They're doing college games and stuff now, but you guys doing pro scouting right now, looking around. These guys are working hard, and this is their chance to shine. This is it. Just
to chime in on that, Ray Agnew is the leader of pro scouting, and John Dorsey has a lot to do with the pro scouting department as well. They're not exclusively doing that, but they're both really good at what they do in that department. I will tell you from covering John Dorsey and knowing him some from his Cleveland days, that's where he's really good. And he and Agnew, along with Brad and Dan, have a really finite idea of who is a Lion, who can be a Lion, and who is not a Lion. And I think you're just going to have to trust them on that. I don't know who they're going to get. I have also heard, Chris, that they are in hot pursuit of two specific names. I don't want to jinx it. I will tell you that Zadarius Smith being one of them, that's pretty common knowledge. Everything I've heard from the Cleveland side of things, and I still keep in touch with a lot of my Cleveland peeps, is that Atlanta wants him more. To this point, we will see, the Falcons have 6 sacks on the season, and they are running away with the NFC South, especially with the injuries that Tampa Bay has now. That they're a team you need to be aware of, and they need pass rush help, and they are aware of it. And they will pick earlier in the rounds than the Lions do. Lions are going to pick 31st, 32nd. I think this is a Super Bowl team. Falcons losing the first round, they're picking 20-ish. That does matter to teams like the Browns. It does. So the worry that I have with that specific trade is that they'll take Atlanta's offer of their 4th round instead of Detroit's 4th round. And if the Lions want to get on that, they also have to give a 5th, and whereas the Falcons would have to give a 6th or something like that. That's about the range that he's going to go for.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of other names that I know that they have talked to. The substance of those talks, I don't know. Can't speak to that. I know that they've talked, and I know it from both sides. I can confirm that they've talked from both sides, but where those talks are, what they've produced, your guess is as good as mine. But they are trying. They are feeling out. They are seeing what the market is. Chris, to your point, they're not going to just go get a guy to make a move. That's not what they're going to do.
No.
They did not make any moves yet.
They need depth, right? They absolutely need players, right? But I don't think they're going after depth players. I think they're going after players that will be able to make the team next year.
Play some.
Yeah. They'll play. I think they really want a starter. I mean, who wouldn't? That's going to make a difference on the team, and that's going to be on the team next year, right? I think that's what they want. You don't want to give away next year's capital, for somebody that isn't going to be here next year. That's like what was it in the Slack? Like Ash said it. And I'm gonna misquote it, but here you go, and you trade a guy that's about 3 times less. You eat his dead cap hit. You pay him 2 times more, and then you don't play him as much as you should, and he's in the wrong position that you don't need. That's a Quinn move. Right, that's totally a Quinn move. Downgrade every position and make it more costly, and play him in the wrong kind of defense in the wrong position, right? And just don't do that. So, there it is.
I would say if you watched Monday Night Football, you saw somebody that they have talked about, and he played well.
Yeah,
and he's losing his starting role because somebody else is coming back.
Yeah. Okay, so there's your Detroit Lions trade talk.
I mean, they're going to get him, but they are trying.
They've got till November 5th. That's the trade deadline to lock everything up.
They have 4 o'clock on Election Day. Thank God the ads will be done.
We don't pick the ads on the show, by the way, folks. I apologize for any of the political ads. We don't do politics. They show up. Those are inserted by the company that handles that for us, and outside it's unfortunate sometimes they put that in there. It's not our thing, but whatever. I hope you do go vote, though. Go vote. Don't be
Please
silly.
Do.
Yeah, don't be silly.
The former civics teacher in me from Peabody Middle School in Petersburg, Virginia, which no longer exists. The town's still there. Town's still good. Strongly encourages you to vote and vote for who you think best represents you, whoever that might be.
And if
you shouldn't care who anybody else is voting for, because they're not you.
Let's be fair. This isn't going to happen. This isn't what Holmes is doing. But if you're going to trade 57 draft first round picks for Max Crosby, Election Day is definitely the day to do that, because you're going to get buried in the news.
News dump. Just on the Max Crosby thing, and we played with this last time, Chris, but it's asking the Raiders for Max Crosby is the exact same to them as we would view, what do you want for Penei Sewell? What about that Amon-Ra guy? What do you want for him? Like, that's how they view it. I know that it's not rational. I'm just going to say, not every team is well run. Not every team has good ownership.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There you go.
Hopefully you can exploit that, but they're absolutely not getting rid of him.
All right, let's get to the next one. We gotta cover it, not because we want to.
Yeah, we do.
Here we are. I'm just gonna start by saying, God, WXYZ has turned into the Freep. the clickbait misrepresentation, like, my freaking Christ, what a terrible headline setup on this. You guys are frigging desperate. I mean, your ratings have to be dumping, and this is the thing that's going to create a self-propelling situation, a downward spiral, an unrecoverable death loop. Don't resort to this. You guys are better than this. Bill Bonds is rolling over in his grave, and he fucking challenged Coleman Young to a goddamn boxing match. Okay, so stop it, freaking stop it. That's where I'm going to start. All right.
It's yeah. So, by the way, we're not talking about the suspension that he's actually suspended for, which, if you read his statement, it's factually correct, but it was clearly written by his agent to make it as unresponsible as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Unresponsible is different than irresponsible.
Yes. Not.
And that's their framing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, so look, I'm going to start out first off. JMO is a public figure. And look, I know people have different perspectives on this, and I respect your opinion. I'm not telling you what to think. Just so take that. But the world is a somewhat dangerous place. For JMO to have a gun, I don't care if he's in Detroit. I don't care if he's in freaking Novi. It makes sense because, look, as a podcaster, there's some really crazy, weird people out there that freak out at silly, stupid shit, right? And that go to weird lengths, like unhealthy. And so look, and that's just a guy writing some stuff with the Lions Wire and a guy doing a podcast, right? I think
it's fucking scary, Chris.
You see what people
There's some
say,
sick motherfuckers out there.
When somebody
I don't mean to be crass about it, but it's not cool.
when somebody drops a ball and the shit that they get on Twitter from people and some of the lunatics that are out there, it's bad news. Now, look, bad look for JMO, right? I mean, I think a little bit. This isn't Tuscaloosa. You're not going to get everything washed away. So don't walk around saying I'm a Detroit Lion, right? Maybe once, that's fine. Just kind of drop it and hope it goes away.
Yeah, the first time was pertinent. Beyond that, it looked a little desperate on his part. And we're talking about the body cam footage, which was aired by WXYZ.
Yeah. So I feel terrible for this kid. By the same token, he's just not making smart decisions. And look, it was legal. You can argue the merits of this, but no one else on the team is is continuing to put themselves in the positions he's in. And that's the thing that's disappointing. Surround yourself with right people before you go. Check your pockets. Oh, I've got my gun. Okay. Do I have a CPL? No, I better go get one. I mean, they're basically handing them out with driver's licenses in Michigan. You might as well just get the dang thing. It's not a lot of work. But okay, I have it. Okay. Just like write a checklist if you have to, but make sure you do the right thing, because every one of these little things piles up. It just piles up against you, and it creates a situation that nobody wants. You don't want it. The Lions don't want it. You can go somewhere else, but you're going to go somewhere else, and somebody will probably pay for the talent because they paid frickin' Deshaun Watson. I mean, there's dumbass teams out there that make stupid mistakes. I don't think signing JMO's a mistake. Looks stupid, but there's. You'll get out there, but why? Why would you go play for the Jaguars, right? Why? That's not like you have such an awesome opportunity, but you keep doing these things. The last thing. I mean, so that's that. You own some of this, and you're the one guy that has this situation. JMO, please, just go through the checklist. Smart decisions. Get smart people around you. Smarter people around you. Have fun. Be you. Do the you thing, because it's great, and I think people love it. But you got to do you smart. You got to do you smart, man, because it's better for you. It's better for the team. Having to talk about this as a distraction. They've got to spend time in the office talking about this. How are we going to talk? How are we going to cover this? What are we going to say? The questions are going to come, and they spend it, and it spins up, and it's a distraction from what the real goal is, and it takes away from your team. When your coach is spending time on something like this rather than on the team, you cost the team, right? So you've just got to do better. I don't care about what the thing is. The thing is not a thing. It's a thing, right? Just pull it together,
Yes.
bro. Pull it together. You've got this. You're smarter. You've grown a lot. Show it, man, and continue this growth curve.
Chris, he's grown so much, and this is just the timing of it. It happened coming out of the bye week, the Tuesday night going into Wednesday of Dallas week, and it's. I won't pretend to know about the Michigan gun laws, but it seems like from what smarter people than I have seen is that this is kind of a nothing burger, and it's more about the Detroit Police Department trying to figure out like how come our guy let him off, than anything about Jameson.
Because the dopes at WXYZ had to make it a thing. And it looks like it's not a thing, but we have to go through all this stuff about the thing because they're so desperate for clicks. They really desperately want to start the death spiral of their franchise.
I don't know. You know what? I don't know that.
The way the headlines around that were created was for to drive emotion, to drive shock and awe. It was not a fair headline. It was clickbait. It was National Enquirer tier shit rather than what WXYZ used to be.
Yeah.
And I say that again, drunk Bill Bonds challenging Khmer Young to a fucking boxing match.
Wow. I thought
it was when they were good.
The guy's name is Wade Fink. He follows me on Twitter, and I interacted with him a little bit this morning. He talked about the police here used common sense, and we kind of want them to use common sense and discretion in situations like this. I thought that was a very well-made comment. I watched him, or I think it was him, on a YouTube rant, and I thought it was, the right tone for this.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. It's annoying as somebody who does have to cover this. Like, as I put in the Slack, I put the old Rosanna Dana thing in. It's always something. And like, it's tiresome, man. Like, I don't want to have to write about Jameson Williams other than him scoring touchdowns or doing great things on the field.
Or off the field.
By the way, he's doing those things. He's doing very well with those things. And that's what makes this even more frustrating. I covered Josh Gordon. Josh Gordon was a drug addict. And it was far beyond marijuana, for those of you who like to throw that. Like, watch the LeBron produced video where he talked about every single drug that he was on. Like, I didn't even know some of these drugs existed. Like it was that educational for me.
Did he was a very
talented guy. What's that?
Were him and Johnny Football on the same team together ever?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Just barely. Their paths did cross.
Okay. Just wondering if they knew some of the same people.
God, they were fucking Browns, man. But Josh Gordon was a very sad story because as much as everybody went out of their way to try to help him, he couldn't stop, and he couldn't stop the spiral, the downward spiral. To go Cleveland metal, 9 Inch Nails, Trent. By the way, I went to high school with their drummer, Jeremy Dillon, good dude. It was very difficult to write about Josh Gordon because he's a legitimately good person who had a massive personality and drug issue, and he couldn't be helped from it. And I'm not saying that JMO was anywhere near that, but I don't even want it to start going more in that direction.
It just feels like immaturity. So, like this is like
it's weird because he's grown up so much, like football wise and team wise.
This is the kind of thing as a parent.
It's a little lapse like this though, but you can't.
This is the thing, Riz. You've done it. I've done it. This is the kind of thing where your kid does something and you're like, "What the fuck were you thinking? Like how did you even come up with this dumb fucking idea? Like what? I feel like that's like." And again, he's honest. He told the team he did all the right stuff.
He did exactly what he was supposed to do.
Except
he realized that he screwed up and he acknowledged it. That JMO 2 years ago wouldn't have been that guy. And I applaud that. Yeah. He's getting there.
Yeah.
But there's a whole lot of people that have come to me and been like, are they done with him? Like, no, they're not. Like, there's too much there to give up.
I think this is part of the path, part of the journey.
It's getting harder, man. Yeah. And it'll be so redemptive when he's back and fully like engaged. Chris, to your point, he's got to get more people around him all the time. Like, he's at a point now where he cannot afford a little screw up even. Like, he just can't.
Yep.
It's unfortunate, but he's made that bet. He's got to lie in it. And I know the Lions have gone and helped him in that regard. And he's been, by the way, to his credit, he's been very willing and accepting of that. He has taken on mentorship from other guys on the team. Yep. He has listened to them, and he's tried very hard to make it. But it's little mistakes, man. Yeah. And you're right. It is only him, and that's the hard part. Yeah. Because if there was more people doing it, then he could point to the team and be like, "Oh, it's a team culture thing. They don't have the right leadership. They don't have the right coaching going on with him." Like,
it could, and again,
and that's the problem for him.
It's just him, and it could just be that he's got bad luck, right? But again, have a checklist. Surround yourself with better people, right? And I'm not saying diss your family or ditch your family. Don't do that. But you get a babysitter or a chaperone, whatever you want to call them, right? Get somebody that's your person, not a fall guy. Like, what was it? Chris Carter? Was he the one? Like,
Handler.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
To go way back in time to
you can still
when I
fun.
lived in Cleveland.
You can still have fun.
Manny Ramirez had a handler because he was a dumbass. Like, I can verify that he signed his first check with the then Cleveland Indians with an X because he couldn't read. he was so lost. And the Indians at the time, I know they're the Guards now. I don't follow baseball. I assume the World Series is still going on. That's what I actually know. But they got a guy who did everything for. He did his. If Manny wanted to go grocery shopping, this dude was with him. If Manny wanted to go to the club, this guy was with him. If people came up to Manny, this guy pushed them away, unless they were an attractive young lady who spoke Spanish.
Good job. That's the kind of handler you need. A wingman / handler.
Yes. And maybe the Lions need that for. I don't know that they don't have that technically. Maybe they do. I don't.
All right, let me hit a couple things, and we'll close out on the JMO thing, because I know we didn't want to talk a whole lot about it. It's just like it's one of those, again, as a parent, it's disappointing, man. It's disappointing, but you're better than this.
It is.
We know it, and this team has worked with you. Just go with it, brother. You can do this. All right, if the Lions decide to trade JMO, can they pick up his fifth-year option and make him more attractive, or does that make him ineligible to trade? No, his fifth-year option would go with him.
Pick it up.
If the other team. But if they traded him,
they have to pick it up.
If they traded him, the other team could still pick it up, even if we didn't. So there's that.
Yes.
Yeah. So it doesn't. There's nothing. Right. You give them the option. It's actually, I would rather give them the option rather than take that away from them, so they can have an out pattern for whatever they want.
I would say, if you're in this situation, though, he's not going to get his fifth-year option picked up. That doesn't mean that he's going to be gone. It just means that buys them more time to evaluate what they've got, to see if he can stay on the straight and narrow for a year, to see if he can continue his football and off-field growth, which, by the way, have both been significant. We've seen it.
Yep. Another one. This one's from Jeff Merrill. Thank you all both for the super chats. Jeff Merrill says the Lions trading JMO is about as real as Riz's Rachel Weisz pudding wrestling fantasy. Oh. Sorry, Riz, and thank you, Jeff.
Oh man.
Oh,
saw the Mummy the other day. Rachel Weisz. Woo!
I'm down for some pudding wrestling. And Independent Aquaman. How about an off-field maturity mentor? I could use one. You know what I mean? To be fair, like especially during the show, this is a place where I get to let loose, because everything at work and so much is buttoned up that you have to do. I can just kind of just let it go. You know what I mean? On this. So, and I know sometimes it bothers people, but I'm not putting up fronts here and doing the whole super kind of tighten my tie and do my day job stuff, because it wouldn't be fun. We'd have been gone in 2 years if I had to do that work thing. So sorry. Let's see. This is in the cops' hands. They only gather evidence. The solicitor or magistrate must have proof, given that the crime has been committed. JMO did nothing wrong. I don't know that he did nothing wrong, and I'm not going to argue the merits of it. But either way, it's a situation that has to be managed, and it sucks, and that's that. Yeah. But the other part of it is, again, I'll say, it's only happening to him. That's the thing that stands out. If this was LaPorta, it'd be like, what the F? Like, come on, man. And you'd be like, and then you could start talking about the merits or whatever. But this is just a pattern of distractions that happen. And it's like, you just be like everybody else. Be below the radar. You're a Detroit Lion. You're not any of that other stuff, man. That's where the key is. And that's where it all comes from, because this is just a distraction, even for us. All right, let's get on to the next topic.
Yeah. Packers.
The Green Bay Packers game preview. Yes. The Green Bay Packers. I'm just going to start out. The PFF grade for Green Bay overall has them ranked number 22. Okay. It has the team grade for the Detroit Lions. This is where, you get those tough battles. Number 1. Okay. The Lions offense is fourth. The Lions defense is number 1, and special teams is 8th, which is a travesty. 8th PFF. Anyway, they'll have to work on how they do their thing. But if you look
I just went off on PFF before we got on the air too, about how they did Anzalone dirty again.
Yeah. If you look at the Packers offense, they're tied for 16th. Defense is 17th. And their special team is full 29th. Right there.
Now a lot of that is the fact they're on their third or fourth kicker. So
fair enough.
That has something to do with it.
Fair enough. Didn't they sign one from us? Didn't they?
Did.
And then okay. So right across the board, I'm just gonna say I'm just
Jake Bates is perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it.
I'm
shocked as hell, but I love it.
The Detroit Lions are a team that's built in the trenches, and as you see how they've been built and how they play, they've been really, really strong, and that's carried a lot. We're lucky on the secondary, and the defense has been able to make up for some of the injury and depth problems we've had in the trenches and the defense. But this team is really, really built in that space first, and it's good to see. If you look at the Green Bay Packers, they look like an old Detroit Lions team. The trenches are devoid of talent. I don't say devoid of talent.
Their defensive front's pretty good. They don't always play together.
59, 40, 53, and 66 across the line, right, is the PFF rankings. That's what we're looking at. And I know they're not perfect, but they give us something to look at.
They got some talent, though. Like they got some guys that can play.
Yeah. No, I understand. And you look at the front seven, other than Cooper and Rashawn Gary, the front seven is not all that. Just not one of them is ranked over 60 by PFF. So they have some strong spots, and it's the outside, like Jair Alexander, right?
Really
Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams.
It's the NFL in interceptions.
Yep, those guys in the secondary there are like what holds everything together. But if you look at the Lions, bro, like I'm just looking at PFF, and I'm just kind of thumbnailing it here. It's all green lights. It's all green lights except James Houston. It's all green lights.
He had one really good play against Tennessee.
Exactly.
What?
Our lowest ranked player, James Houston aside, okay, on the defensive line is higher than their best ranked player.
It's wild.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Their secondary looks good, other than Nixon, right? So I just feel like there's a real opportunity for the Lions here. There is an absolute opportunity for the Lions to take advantage of the secondary, to run the ball up the middle in particular, but to run the ball and take advantage of that. And there's all kinds of gaps. I don't know that the deep ball is going to be there, so maybe it's a good time not to have J-Mo. Although, by the same token, I'd like him to keep one of those guys busy, right? One of those safeties busy. So that would be kind of nice. But there's all kinds of options here with the Lions on the offensive side of the ball. Whereas like I said, I'm just doing a quick analysis from the PFF grades. I'd like you then to take it kind of the next level, if you would, because it's your specialty.
Yeah, I think this is a game where Goff needs to continue playing like an MVP candidate, because they are an opportunistic defense. They don't necessarily stop you from getting a lot of yards, but they do stop you very well from getting points, and they take the ball away incredibly well. It's not dissimilar to the way Detroit is designed on defense this year. Now, I'm very curious about the injury to Jair Alexander, who left the game On their last defensive play, he limped off of the end zone. If you saw it, he didn't practice today. This is Wednesday. We're doing this live. A whole crap ton of Lions and Packers didn't practice today, so probably wait until Friday to see on that. And Dr. Leal will have a lot of stuff on that.
Dr. Leal,
he's so good,
fantastic, man.
Love that guy.
The one thing anyone agrees on is how great Dr. Leal is.
He's so like right spot on with it. I love it. But we digress. But this is a game that the Lions are in fact going to have to outscore somebody. They just hung 52 on Tennessee, which has on paper a better defense than Green Bay does. A lot of that was special teams. You're not going to get that with Green Bay. A lot of their special teams woes are from their kicking problems, and I want to say that they had a long snapper. I think he's still there, but I think he had an issue early too. So I'm not going to fret on that. But their offense, they got some guys, man. They've got a lot of receivers, and they've got a quarterback who doesn't care who he throws it to. We know from being part of the Jared Goff experience, that's a fantastic thing to have. When you've got a lot of talented receivers and your quarterback doesn't play favorites. It's a great way to be.
Say, though, other than Zach Tom, their offensive line is a bit of a liability.
It's not great. No, it's not. And this is a game where only McNeil can have a big day.
And this is a game real opportunity for the Lions, who had some troubles with the pass rush. They've gotten pressures, but they really haven't been able to line those sacks up. This is an opportunity where they could really play some games back there. With Love, if that groin bothers him at all and he's slowed down, this could be an opportunity for this Lions defense to eat and to disrupt him and his ability to get the ball out. So this is where I think it's going to be really, really interesting.
Yeah, and one of the areas where Love is really good is at avoiding that first pressure, resetting and surveying the field and hitting people down the field. He's great at that.
Yep.
I don't want to take that away from him. Will Willis be able to do that? Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. I kind of doubt it, but he's shut me up before, so maybe he'll do it again. We'll see.
I freaking, I honestly, number one for me, but for the team also, I sure as hell hope not. I genuinely hope that he doesn't, but he may have a game. He may. He's not a starter, right? I mean, there's a reason he's not on the field anywhere as the starter, but it happened. Matt Flynn is a horrible thing to refresh memories with. That happens. I don't think that's the case here, though. As these teams line up, this is going to be an interesting game. I think we're going to see a regression from our offense a little bit toward the mean because we have just scored so much. It doesn't seem like you can sustain. I hope we can. I hope we have a massive record-breaking season and set an unattainable record. Greatest show on turf.
Nice.
Suck it. This is the Detroit Lions. Right? I would love to see something like that roll out and something like that happen. I just feel like until it does, you're ripe for a little bit of a regression. And I think we're probably going to see a little less on the scoring side than we're used to, which means the defense has to step up. Luckily, the way those lines match up, I think our defensive line can really start wreaking havoc on Love's rhythm and his ability to deliver the ball the way he wants. The other side of that is we have a secondary that isn't like the old secondaries where he could run around and just heave a ball and somebody's going to be sitting there wide open. These guys are sticky, man.
We got some guys back. We talked about the safeties earlier in the game or earlier in the show.
Yeah.
The game. Hopefully they make an impact earlier in the game. This is going to be a fun one. To the offensive part, this game is outdoors. It's on grass. It's supposed to be raining throughout the game.
Yep.
It's weird because you tend to think of that as slowing down the offense, but it's actually easier for the offense when it's slippery because they know where they're going, and the defense has to react to it.
Yep.
So I actually worry from a Lions standpoint that Terrion as a rookie, that I'm not sure he's ever played on grass, to be honest with you.
That stickiness that you have can be a problem because it can cause you to overcommit and not be able to recover. Right. And
you can also be even more prone to holding. By the way, he hasn't had a penalty in 2 straight games. He's playing really, really well. Mm-hmm. That sort of gets lost in the wash, but most of what Calvin Ridley did last week was at the hands of Carlton Davis and Amik Robertson. And By the way, they also both got better. I just finished watching the game film not long ago, and I'm going through it. I'm like, there was a lot of guys that did not start the game well. Jack Campbell being another one, Graham Glasgow being another one, and then it's like they collectively woke up.
Yeah. Whether
it's like, oh crap, it's 14-14, and we're playing the worst team, second worst team in the league. Carolina's the worst. Yeah. Carolina is really the worst.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Like, it was like they had a moment of religious epiphany at the same time, and they went and they're like, okay, enough. And that's not something that, like, you can't really just flip that switch all the time. Most teams can't do that. This Lions team has enough talent and enough coaching gumption to do that. That's a really good thing. I don't know if they're going to win this game or not. This is a tough one, but I kind of think they will.
I love the epiphany. Really quick before we get into our direct predictions.
Epiphanous religiosity. That's what Don King said. I was going for his line.
Please like and subscribe as we watch. You're sitting here at this level, this distance into the podcast. Hit the like button. It's free. It's free. It helps people find us and helps us out with keep doing this thing. And if you like it, which I'm certain you do, get there and hit the old subscribe and join us for this journey, the post game shows and all the fun that's yet to come. All right. Like. There we go. All right, Riz is standing. All right, Riz, let's go to you first. Now. I would like to get from you your prescription for a final score.
I think it's going to be lower scoring because I do think that both defenses are going to rise up. I don't even know what the over-under is yet. I would say, I think it's going to be one of those just like 27-24, 26-25. Something like that. I think it's gonna be right in there. And I can see this, like, this is one of those, I hate to be the cop on it. If they played 100 times, like, I think the Lions would probably win 53 of them, 55 of them maybe in Green Bay. But it's just gonna be one of those days. I don't know. I'll tell you what, if they come out the way they did against Tennessee in the first quarter, they're not winning this game because Green Bay is not going to give that up. They got to be solid coming out and play 4 full quarters. And the way that they did against Dallas, if they play the way they did in Dallas, they're winning.
Yeah.
If they play the way they did against Tennessee, the way they did against Tampa Bay, they're not going to win.
Interesting. So here's where I'm at, and I just pulled the numbers up. I had my number. My score. I think the Lions are going to win. I think they got a little bit of a hangover as far as from the scoring side. I think it's going to be tighter. I think the weather's going to have an effect. I'm going to go 23-17 with the Lions victory in Lambeau. I think you hit the under on this because, especially if the weather hits as it should. Maybe the weather won't, and the numbers will be a little bit higher, but I expect that type of a game at least. The over-under is 48, and the Lions are minus 170 with Green Bay at plus 140 on the money line.
Minus 170.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's big.
3.5 points. 3.5 points. That's according to Hard Rock Bet. So there you go. All right. That's Lions. I think that's where they're going to turn up. Where they're going to turn it in this one. It's going to be a closer game. It's going to be a little bit of a nail biter for Lions fans who are used to a couple of really big kind of haughty wins here, and it'll bring you a little bit back.
I won't be able to write my post-game story at halftime. Damn it.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's 97-3 and the Packers go, give up at halftime and go in crying and scream for a mercy rule, to be honest with you. But it's going to be great. Hopefully Lions fans raid Lambeau, as Joseph is asking. I know there'll be a lot of Lions fans there.
I know there will be some there, for sure.
If you remember last time, the Lambeau fans were crying because of the Detroit Lions takeover. Do you remember that, Riz? They're like,
I do.
So mean to us. Chris, are you doing a post-game show, Greg C? Of course we are. We got to win. Come on. I'm all in on this team, just like everybody else. We got to do our part. So we'll have a post-game show. It'll be me and a yet-to-be-named co-host. We got Ash is out this week, but we will have a co-host, and we'll rock a post-game show. Okay, so we got all that going on. Let's get to close.
Yeah.
Riz, thank you, man. I know your daughter's got to get to sleep. She's got a big game tomorrow. We can't keep her up.
Yes.
Remember, don't forget about us on Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. If you donate $5 or more per month, you'll get yourself a wonderful opportunity to hang out in the Slack chat, the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet. I'm telling you, it's such a great place. Gray's back.
Good this week.
Yeah.
Howdy,
It's
y'all.
just it's a great
Got
group
a
of people.
little squirrely last week with the trade scenarios.
But they were good.
Sorry,
It was
I clapped
good
at people,
scenarios. It was good scenarios. I liked it. It's okay. People got
As you
nervous.
know, I don't do Fantasy Island. That's not what I do.
It's not Madden. It's not Madden. But it is part of it is fun, right? Part of it is the fun of it. But sometimes
fun for me.
I know Riz, he's got to be the fun governor sometimes, right? And you need that in your life. You do need that in your life sometimes because sometimes
That's absolutely me.
you start
I am the
talking
wet
about-
blanket on your wet fantasies.
you just need to hear the truth, right? You're just not that good looking. All right, make sure to follow us on Twitter at DET Lions Podcast, DET Lions Podcast. Best place to catch us pants free. Riz, unlike
The stripper doesn't really like you, boys.
no, she likes me though. Trust me. Riz at Jeff Risden, great tweets, great information as you go throughout the week. Covers Draft Wire and Lions Wire, so you get a double dip out of the Riz. DET Lions Podcast for everything going on with the show, when we're live, when we're not, what's going on when, all that stuff, and all the news. And I probably had my biggest tweet ever. And it was all about fucking him in the face. It was hilarious. It's the ones you don't expect that wind up blowing up, Riz. It is something. Okay, we're going to get into this. We got this. Go be sure to follow DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Subscribe to the podcast. That way, look, we've been a little remiss in the weekly shows. We've been, like I said, doing all the post games because we've been able to work those out. But we should have a good run on these. Plus, a new show coming in the near future that you guys are going to love. I think it's a really good addition. But
might be 2 new shows.
Ooh. Subscribe to the podcast, because when you do, whether it winds up on YouTube, it also winds up as a podcast. You can listen to it at the audio side of it as you're running and doing exercising or running around town or doing whatever, flying, whatever. It's a great place to do. Subscribe to the podcast. That way we can do what? What happens when they subscribe, Riz?
I get to come into your ear holes automatically.
Yeah, that's right. And who doesn't want that? Him in your ear holes, I'm in your little
My
box.
wife.
It's fantastic. Well, remember, no pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, and no problems, because we are your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection. Go Lions. We're with you, JMO. It's okay. Just kind of help us out a little bit. All right. We'll talk to you guys soon.